Like and subscribe on the way in the door, my people. Today, this video is sparked by a lot of fanboys who keep wanting to bring up the whole don't forget about all the seasons where Michael Jordan lost. And I touched on this a little bit in one of my previous videos. But I basically say, hey, Michael Jordan fans, we accept and embrace the failures of Michael Jordan because that's part of his legacy. It's part of what makes his legacy great. So before we kind of get into this, and I don't know how long this video will be, it might be short, might get on the longer side, but we'll see. But I want to talk about, first of all, humanity in general. I think humans appreciate someone who overcomes obstacles. Someone who's the underdog and comes out on top. You know, Mike Tyson is feared as Mike Tyson was. He was actually a lot smaller in stature than a lot of the boxers he faced. You know, some of the boxers he faced look like giants compared to him. Comes to mind immediately is Frank Bruno. So to me, that's part of what made Mike Tyson, outside of when he, I feel like his out of the ring stuff eventually kind of interfered with how people viewed him. But before that, I think the reason Mike Tyson was championed so quickly, and I mean championed by the people, is because, like I said, he was smaller in stature. It was amazing to see someone like that just knocking people out. I think humanity appreciates people who overcome the struggle. That is part of the greatness, is that overcoming of the struggle. And, a lot of NBA stars didn't necessarily have that same struggle. Like Magic Johnson came onto the team with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And even Larry Bird came onto a pretty good team. So Michael Jordan coming to Chicago, a loser franchise, and as they like to call it, as they called it in The Last Dance, the traveling cocaine circus, and facing those battles against Boston, and I would say more importantly the battles against Detroit, because I feel like ultimately that made Michael the indestructible champion that he became, is those battles with Detroit. That is part of Michael's legacy. Fanboys, I think this is what you guys are missing, is that is part of Michael Jordan's legacy. And also it's part of what drew fans to Michael Jordan. I really think what made Michael, besides his game just being visually pleasing to the eye to watch, unlike any other, there has been no other NBA player in the history of the game that had as visually pleasing a game to look at as Michael Jordan. To this day, there is nobody in this so-called evolved, more athletic, more skilled NBA that they like to call it. There is still nobody moving and doing the things that we saw Michael Jordan do. So, his game was visually pleasing to the eye, but outside of that, what I really think drew the fans in, what I really think won a lot of the fans over, because like I said, me, myself, I was an Isaiah Thomas fan. I was a Bad Boy Pistons fan. Had the shirts, the hats, and everything. But you could not deny the will of Jordan. Michael Jordan had an unbreakable will. And, Kobe fans, you guys probably would disagree, but I would say his will was more unbreakable than Kobe. Or maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe that's not the right word. Maybe what I'm thinking is he never crumbled in the face of adversity. Because Kobe had an unbreakable will. To me, the unbreakable will is just, even after failures, you're still willing to go back and go through that same thing again and face that challenge again. So Kobe had an unbreakable will. But Mike was just, he was unbreakable. He never crumbled in big moments. And Kobe, and I think it's probably because Kobe came into the league so young, and so in Kobe's early years, he had a lot of moments where the moment got too big for him. But then again, I've said this in another video, which is also why I have a lot of respect for Kobe, because to me that is a testament to his will, is that those moments didn't break him. Some of them games where he shot up air balls and stuff in big moments and things, those moments didn't break him, didn't stop him from continuing to go down that path and become the player who he became. But Michael Jordan was a different beast altogether. Michael Jordan is like, he lived for those big moments. Kobe eventually got to that point. But Michael Jordan was just like that. Like I said, quitting wasn't in his DNA. And I think that's what drew fans to Michael Jordan, is that unbreakable will, in the face of adversity. Is seeing him get beat over and over and over again till he finally, not only seeing him get beat, but seeing him come back better. And like I said, I think I said in another videos, and having that mindset when he was facing the Detroit Pistons, to where, he gets thrown to the ground in a way that could injure him. In the very next play, he's going right back to the hole. Like, you just could not shake this guy. And that's what drew people into him. Like I said, people love people who are able to overcome struggles. That's part of the legacy, fanboys. That is part of what made Michael Jordan so great. So when you bring up this whole don't forget about his failures, Michael Jordan fans, do not forget about his failures, because that's part of the legacy. That's part of what made his legacy so fantastic, is that he didn't give up. And he overcame, the commercial where he talks about how many shots he's missed and how many game winners he's missed, and his failures. And it's, I failed. That is why I succeed. That is Michael Jordan. That is what, that is what fans were drawn to. And he made you believe that every single game was winnable. There's one moment when they were in the playoffs against Indiana, and I think this is from The Last Dance, or at least it was pointed out in The Last Dance. But I think Indiana was up by 1 or something, and it was just a few. Was it a second? Maybe a little over a second, a little under a second, or something like that on the clock. And, it seemed like a lot of the team was in good spirits and almost kind of celebrating, feeling like they had won the game. And you look at Larry Bird's face, and Larry Bird looks worried out of his mind. Because, for you fanboys, again, Larry Bird called Michael Jordan God in shorts. And Larry Bird was the coach of the Indiana Pacers at the time. So like I said, Indiana's up by 1, I believe. It might have been a second on the clock or something, a little more or less. And anyway, like I said, people were kind of starting to celebrate in good spirits. And Larry Bird looked sick with worry because he knew, like, all Michael Jordan needs is 1 second to take the game from you. And Michael almost hit that shot. The shot was an in and out. It went in and bounced around the rim and popped out. But to me, that just demonstrates how much faith people had in Michael Jordan's ability to win even when the odds seemed stacked against him. You know, again, a lot of you fanboys want to try and say some of his teams were super teams. Michael Jordan was the super team. This is what you guys are not understanding. And this is what you guys don't understand about LeBron James. When he left Cleveland, he ruined what his legacy could be. But at the end of the day, sorry to tell you, fanboys, and this video is a little more serious tone. I'm not joking here. This is not the fanboy files. It's a little more serious tone, but this is. I hate to tell you, fanboys, but LeBron James could have never become the GOAT because of who he is as a person. He is a person who would take those shortcuts. That's who he is. And he's shown you that over and over again. First step was leaving Cleveland. And then he left Miami, back to Cleveland. And then he leaves Cleveland again. And like I said before, I feel like the only reason he is still in L.A. is because, number one, because he's getting closer to the end of his career. And I feel like L.A. is actually where he wants to be for reasons outside of basketball. He probably has a lot of business deals and that kind of thing. But LeBron's character of who he is not in him to be the GOAT. Because if it was, he would have stayed in Cleveland. LeBron left. See, Michael Jordan, came into the league in '84 and won his first championship in '91. So it was that 7 years. So LeBron left Cleveland, after 7 years? And like I said, his legacy would have been much more worthy had he stayed in Cleveland. And he just kept getting better. You fanboys, I really hate it for you because you guys are in delusion. Like, LeBron James' game has not improved enough. His game has improved in the sense of this. Anything that you're doing over and over again, you're going to get better at it to some degree. If you just go out and play basketball every day, even if you're not practicing it, you're going to get better at some things. But his game has not made significant improvement. And again, I said this in another video. I feel like when LeBron's head was blown up so big when he was young that I feel like he probably thought he didn't need to be any better. Like, they gave him all the excuses in the world. They said he didn't have enough help and all these things. But if he had stayed in Cleveland and found a way to make it work, if he had stayed in Cleveland and he was getting better year after year, again, this is the big difference between, when y'all try to prop him up against Kobe, the only thing I will give LeBron in regards to Kobe is I think LeBron James came into the league better than Kobe was when he came into the league. But as far as prime Kobe versus prime LeBron, you guys would be crazy to say you would take LeBron James over Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is someone who got better each and every year he played the game of basketball. Like I said, he started off wanting to be like Mike, and he had a lot of Mike's moves and continued to have a lot of Mike's moves, but then he added his own thing. You can't. LeBron James does not compare to Kobe Bryant. Not a prime Kobe Bryant. Not at all. Like, if you guys would choose that, like, y'all need to snap out of the delusion. And, let alone compare it to Michael Jordan. Like, Michael Jordan, to me, is just the, you hear these stories or heard these stories about when Mike in his 50s and in mid-50s still cooking some of these young NBA players. Because Michael Jordan, to me, is, truly somebody, who literally got better each and every year that he played the game of basketball. Not only got better each and every year, but, understood that at some point his athleticism is going to fail him. And he's going to have another way of still staying formidable, which is why I say, to me, a lot of people think the Bulls were in their prime doing that first three-peat. I think some people think like maybe that 92 team was the best version of the Bulls. But me, number one, I think the 96 Bulls were the best Bulls team. But as far as Michael Jordan, to me, that second three-peat was Michael Jordan, like I said, not in his physical prime, but in his mental prime. Like, to me, by that, and B.J. Armstrong, I think, said as much on some interview. He basically said Michael Jordan had figured out how to win. And that's what it really seemed like, again. But to me, figuring out how to win is something you can only do when you are truly battle-tested and when you have had to overcome many obstacles like Michael Jordan did. Again, fanboys, this is where your king falls short. This is why your king hasn't had a period of dominance. Like, despite this narrative that they try to put out there in the media, like LeBron has dominated. Like, LeBron has not dominated, at all. His championships are so spread out. It's like his 20-year career is diluted. It's not potent. So yeah, Michael Jordan's failures are part of his legacy. And not just part of his legacy, fanboys. It is part of what makes his legacy so great. And that's what your king is missing. Is that triumph. Is that being in the same situation over and over again and staying there and figuring out a way to triumph. Figuring out a way to make the pieces work that you were given. And not only that, like I said, most importantly, being a better version of yourself each and every year. But anyway, I think we're going to hold up here. Like I said, I just wanted to do this video because this whole notion of Michael Jordan's failures, I feel like you fanboys don't understand that's part of the greatness, But anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Michael Jordan's failures is a detriment to his legacy, or do you think that is part of the greatness of his legacy? People like to see people overcome. People like to root for the underdog. And Michael Jordan definitely spent a lot of his career as the underdog until he became the truly dominant force of the league. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I hope you all have a truly fantastic day, and I will see you next time. All right.